Welcome to the second part of the mapping tutorial series about how to map the O'Gorman's Loop in Bennettsbridge, County Kilkenny. In this video, I want to show you how to create the relation to add all the different paths and highways to. And this is what it looks like in Bennettsbridge, the information sign, which of course I've already added to OpenStreetMap. And I will continue using the track that I created with Osmand, and if you want to see how that is done, you have to go back one video in the playlist and see that, and I'll also link it up in the corner with the little card, and you can click on that if you like. Otherwise, we will continue on just creating the relation. So to map a route relation, you need a couple of tags, and I would suggest that you collect them in a notepad window first. So that's what I've opened here. So the tag is route equals hiking, and that's one of the first ones we can just type down, route equals hiking. And if you look here, there's also a possibility to use route equals foot. And I'll just read it out. Route equals foot is used for routes which are walkable without any limitations regarding fitness, equipment, or weather conditions. As a guideline, you could say that ordinary shoes or trainers, at a pinch even flip-flops, are adequate for this type of walking trail. So that's usually only for walks in a town. Also weather conditions, it's Ireland. So I would always go for the hiking ones with the Kilkenny trails. Also, I saw some people struggle with the stroller trying to get it through the squeezer style. So it's definitely not meant to go for a walk with the stroller. All these routes with the step over styles and the squeezer styles, it's not great. So that's why I chose hiking. And type equals route. That's the type of relation. And then the next one we have here is network. And that is to differentiate between international walking networks down to local walking networks. And on the trail markers, it said national walking loop or something like that. But it is only around Bennettsbridge, so it's not really national. An international walking network would be the Camino, I'd say. So I will put down for this one local walking network because it is very local. The ascent, I don't know. I could look it up, but I still haven't quite understood how that works. If it isn't explained, it is explained here on the trailkilkenny.ie website. They have a lot of information about all the trails. And it does say high ascent here, but I don't quite know which one is which. And you can read that with your Osmand app as well. It will give you that information. But if someone knows how to interpret these numbers, please fill them in. I don't. Color, and that's the color of the little symbol on the trail marker, which you could see in the thumbnail, is purple. So color, purple. Descent, again, I won't go into that. Description, I won't do that now. Distance, and on the trailkilkenny.ie website it says 4 kilometers, so you can put that in. Educational, define education. Like, you can always, if you're walking with kids and you show them birds and tell them the names of birds and trees and so on, of course it can be educational, but I don't think that's the intention of this tag. Historic, yes, if it is historic, I wouldn't say that. There wasn't a lot of history along the way, and it's not meant to be showing your heritage. Again, the Camino would be one of those historic ones. Name, very important. And I could copy that from here, but they're using a different apostrophe than I usually do. So I'm just going to type O'Gorman's Lane Loop. Round trip, we can see that here. Round trip, and because it is a loop, it obviously is a round trip. Survey date, :date underscore, survey : date equals, and it was the 10th of May that I went. Symbol, purple, arrow. It seems to me that all the ones in Ireland are arrows, but I know from Germany that they use different types because they don't actually show you the direction. They just show you that you're still on the right track. So you might get a yellow dot or a red triangle or whatever. There is no Wikipedia page, I think, for it, but a website. And I'll just copy that here. And then what isn't here, but it says here additional info to protect farm animals, no dogs allowed. So I want to add that because it is important. So it's just dogs equals, no, I think it's dogs. Might just be dog. Yeah, it's just dog. So, sorry, dog equals no. Some of the Kilkenny, trail Kilkennys allow for dogs, but most of them don't because they go along meadows that have cattle in it, or horses, or sometimes sheep. So these are the tags we need. So this is it here. And you can use that for shops and other things as well, if they allow guide dogs, for example. But that's not the topic of this video. So I'm back in Bennett's Bridge on openstreetmap.org. I've gone into the editing mode and I've highlighted the trail marker that I have already added. That's actually the trailhead. And I want to add this to the relation, but I have to create the relation first. So down here where it says relations, we click on the plus and on the little drop down field, and it gives me a lot of relations here, but of course because I haven't created it yet, it's not available. So I click on new relation, and because the last thing I did was a hiking route, it'll come up here. If it doesn't, usually it's just the route features. You just click on route features and then you scroll down to hiking route. And instead of copying and pasting every single key into all the fields, I scroll down here to tags and switch over to the text mode by clicking on this symbol here. And you see two are already in there, so I could just leave them out, the first two. So I'll just go down here and copy all of those and go into the next line and paste them. And then I can switch back to the list mode. And again, I think you usually have to click twice. So we have the name filled in. There's no route number that I'm aware of. I don't know who the operator is. It's probably Kilkenny County Council. Network class and so on. And then there's also a from and to field. But because it's a loop, it's just Bennett's Bridge. And there's no via. And here we have the forms loop and so on. And this is the relation created. And I still have to add the... it's partly added to the relation, the trail marker. So we have the trail marker there and we have to give it a role, and that's the route marker. And I've talked about that in the video about the Freshford loop, so you can go and watch that in more detail if you want to. And then I have to go and add all the roads that are along it. So technically, because the trailhead is here, I would have to split the road here and only add this bit. But there's also an information sign here at the butchers. So we can be generous and add the whole road to it. So the Chapel Street, and just make sure that it doesn't go too far. Sometimes there could be a turn left and it's not the whole of that street that's part of the relation. So you just have to go to the end of it or to your next turn and see if you have to split the road there. So I had forgotten to activate the GPS trace or go in via the GPS trace, so now I have done that. So you see the Chapel Street ends here at the railway bridge and the trail continues on. So I have to add the bridge to the relation and then this bit of the road and this bit of the road, and then it goes on and on and on and on. And it's split here, for example, because there's a townland boundary, and this road is probably also part of the townland boundary. Maybe it isn't. Maybe this one is. It is, yeah. So the townland boundary goes around this corner here, and the road is part of the boundary. So they had, whoever did the townland boundaries, thank you, had to split this here. And then continues on here after the ring fort and goes in to the left here into the O'Gorman's Lane that we mapped in the last video. And this used to be one road, one line continuously, and I must have split it in the last video here because I don't want this part to be part of the relation. And you do that by highlighting one of the nodes where you want to split the line and right click on your mouse and click on the little scissors. Alternatively, you just highlight the node and hit your X key because it looks a bit like scissors on your keyboard, and then you have two separate lines, which I don't want, so I'm just going to undo that. And I will continue on adding all the tracks and pathways to the relation and also all the trail markers, and you don't have to watch me do this because it would take forever. But if I encounter anything interesting and important, I will record that bit then. So I have everything covered that I can think of. So here we have a case where I didn't look how far this track went, and I just highlighted the whole thing and added it to the loop, and that might happen to you as well if you don't listen to my instructions like I just did myself. So it continues on under the motorway bridge, but it doesn't actually. So what you can do there, you can undo whatever you've done up there with the undo button, but you can also just split the track here. Highlight this bit that isn't part of the relation and scroll down to the relations and just hit the little bin here. And that'll delete it off the relation. It won't delete the whole relation, it will just take this out of the picture, basically. That's just something I came across and I'll soldier on. So here the loop walk meets the Nore Valley Way. So from here, from this point into Bennett's Bridge, there are trail markers that are for both relations or for both trails, but for us it's for both relations. So all the trail markers, most of them anyway, have to be added to both relations. And there is one down here, I'll just quickly show you, and I just put down both trails. So I add a point, a trail marker, and in down at the relations, I look for my O'Gorman's loop and add route marker as the rule. And then I have to add a second relation because it seems the trail markers for the Nore Valley Way aren't mapped yet. And I just have to search for it here in the list. And you see there are a lot of relations available. And it's this one here. And the route is this, the role is the same, route marker. Another thing I want to show you is this case here. So there's a meadow here with cows in the field, and the river comes up to here, and the cows, there's an electric fence here, stops for a bit and then it continues on. So you can add all these electric fences as well because it might be important for some people. Anyway, there's cattle in the field here, and the cattle is very much allowed to go down to the river and drink there. So they might come onto the trail, but you see there's a squeezer stile here and also another squeezer stile here to prevent the cows from coming onto the trail. You'll still encounter them sometimes. Some people are horrified of cows, so I added a little note here to the squeezer stile. Cows passing down to the river between the stiles, keep calm. So one of the rules when you encounter cows is not to run, not to panic. I met a guy there who was clapping his hands and shouting to make them go away. I was grand. I walked through this one, there were cows here, and I just walked through and they just went out of my way. Usually that happens. It might be different if it's bulls or bullocks, but the cows were friendly enough. So as I've shown with the Freshford loop, you can't just search for it on OpenStreetMap because it's a relation. So we're going to show it on Overpass Turbo, but it will show on your hiking apps as well at some point. I'll show you on Osman. So we go to overpass-turbo.eu, open the wizard by clicking on wizard, and then typing in name equals, and in quotes, O'Gorman's Lane loop. I realized that I had just called it O'Gorman's loop, but it's actually called O'Gorman's lane loop. Oops, but I've corrected that. And in quotes, because it's several words, so it has to be in quotes, so it doesn't just look for O. And then I will click build query first. And I will zoom in on Bennett's Bridge, or move the map to Bennett's Bridge. This should cover it. And I can delete those lines here, node and way, because I'm only looking for the relation, just to see if it's complete. It's not, I left a bit out just on purpose. Sorry for ruining the surprise. And then I will run this, just check, yeah, should be working. There we are now. So we have the track and all the trail markers. And you see I forgot this bit here. So I will just go into the map and add that. But this is a way to check whether you've missed little bits, because sometimes you might miss a bridge or something because it's only like a meter or two long. But of course I paid a lot of attention. So there's a bridge here and you see all the stiles along the way now. There's a kissing gate here. That's the symbol for a kissing gate. So it's really not suitable for bicycles, but that's the whole point of all these stiles, is that you don't get through with the bicycle or a horse. There were also people trying to go there with a stroller. They struggled quite a bit with these squeezer stiles. I think they should let people through with strollers and prams, but that's just me. So I'll fix this now. Go back here, and it is actually that little lane that I only added. I'm lost now. Here, this bit. Go back into editing mode. Click on that lane and add it to the relation. Added lane to relation, hashtag. I'll just stick with the one I had before. O'Gorman's loop, sources, survey, and upload. So relations always take a bit longer to show whether it's townland boundaries or anything, because they're so complex, and yeah, that's just the way it is. So they might not show immediately now. Not that there's no hiking layer in the layers here on the standard openstreetmap.org. There are several ways to make them visible. So let's just see if it works now. As I said, it takes a bit longer for relations to get through. I might also just refresh the whole page. Maybe that will help. Maybe it won't. There we are now. So this is all. The loop is complete. So that is that. That was a bit longer than I expected, but it is a complex topic, so it has to be a bit longer, and I tried to split it. Hopefully the Mapillary will be available soon as well. And then someone could go in and add all the surfaces for the roads and pathways and so on. I think I'm too lazy to do that, actually. I've done enough. I'll see you in the next video. Slán!